Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Welcome to the show, y'all. This story is about a guy named Cecil. Cecil is 24 years old, and he loves to kick it with his college friends when they go out. You know how college kids do. They go out, have a ball, and all this and that. But Cecil, he was beyond the BA. He had already gotten his bachelor's, and he was working on his, furthering his education and stuff like that, right? He was one of those kids that was like a perpetual college student. You know what I'm saying? Smart guy. He wanted to be a professor one day, so he was continuing his education, working on his master's and stuff like that. And one night, while out with his friends, Cecil, he was the designated driver. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't the type that go out and get drunk. If he wanted to drink or have some wine or something like that, he did that at home. But whenever he went out with his friends, because he was a little older than them, he wanted to be the responsible adult in the room. So he was always the designated driver. And they were out one night at a pretty popular bar in the area, in the college town that they were in. And they were having a ball, just having big fun, And it was this stranger that kept trying to push up on one of Cecil's female friends, kind of just getting at her, asking for a number. He's shooting a shot. But she didn't want anything to do with him. She kept telling him to leave. Go on. I don't want nothing to do with you. I don't know you. This, that, and the third. She said everything that you can imagine that she said other than to disrespect him, to tell him to leave her alone. She wanted nothing to do with him. So Cecil stepped in. Like most men in a situation like that, after a female friend of yours has told the person that's trying to talk to him that they don't want anything to do with him and they were starting to feel uncomfortable a little bit, yeah, he stepped in, and that's what most of us would do, right? Well, when he stepped in, this guy, got a little bit aggressive. And started to push Cecil. And Cecil, you know what I'm saying, he's about 6'1", 6'1 and a half, something like that. Weighing right at about 205, but he wasn't the type that fought. He wasn't that type of dude. This, like I said, this is somebody that loved education, and he loved, to try to talk things out. He was more on the diplomatic aspect. He wasn't a fighter. You feel what I mean? But he wasn't about to back down because this guy had pushed him. He told him, he said, look, man, go ahead on. You're drunk. I understand. You know what I'm saying? She don't want nothing to do with you. So the dude swung at him. And when he swung at him, he popped him real good on the jaw, dropped him to his knees. He gets up, and the first thing he does, he's just out of instinct, he reaches up on the bar and he grabs a glass. There was a mug, right, where they put the beer in, one of those beer mugs. He grabs the mug and he swings as hard as he can, and he hits the guy right in the temple. And when he hits him in the temple, the glass shatters. And the guy is down. He drops down to his knees. And at this point, Cecil's adrenaline kicks in even more. Because now he's afraid because the guy's moving around. He's trying to get up. So instead of running out of the place, all of them leaving, Cecil, with the part of the glass that's still in his hand, the handle part on the beer mugs, with that handle part in his hand, because it's really hard, he hits him as hard as he can. And that side where the glass had shattered, it had some rough edges. And when he hit the dude in the face, it cut his jaw. And it started bleeding really bad. Now, you know how sometimes you get hit in places on your body, you know what I mean? A lot of y'all probably ain't been in no fight, but some places on your body will bleed way, way, way too much. You know what I'm saying? And it'll make you think that, oh my God, he's about to die. You know what I'm saying? And that's what this was. He hit him in the jaw and it cut him real good. And I'm talking about the blood was flowing. And the guy freaked out and panicked. He started to try to get up, and there was so much blood coming from the cut on his jaw, because he split his jaw. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like the Joker, you know what I'm saying, on the side of the face. He split it. And the blood is coming out. So the dude freaks out and panics, and he gets up and he runs. And because Cecil is afraid of what might happen, his mind is racing 1,000 miles a minute. He thinking dude might be running to get a gun, all this and that. He watches TV, so he's spooked at what could happen. So he chases him down, and he gets him outside the bar now, and he's continuing to beat him. And the dude now is begging him to stop. I had enough. Stop. I'm sorry. He's begging for Cecil to get off of him. But Cecil, he blanked out. So some of the people that were at the bar. They were outside now watching this fight. They get Cecil off of him. Some of his friends get him off of him, right? And they do what a lot of people do. They scattered. They all ran, trying to get away because the police is coming. You can hear the sirens coming. The people that owned the bar had called the police. So they all ran. These are college kids, right? They all got down. So when they get there, they asked the barman what happened and all this and that. The people started talking, and witnesses that were there that stayed on the scene were telling them what happened, and they got the surveillance tape. And after they went through that rigmarole of trying to figure out who it was, they figured out who Cecil was. So they paid him a visit at the college, and where he was living off campus, rather. And when they got there, he had cleaned himself up, and he's panicking. Never been in anything like that in his life. He gets rid of the bloody clothes and all this and that, and they ask him, would he come down, you know what I'm saying? They needed to talk to him and get a statement and all this and that, right? And he wasn't familiar with how the police operate. You know, they were being nice to him, so he figured no harm, no foul. Now, keep in mind, he's in college, he's got a little education, and you know, but he wasn't a law student. He didn't understand, keep your mouth shut regardless, you know what I mean? Yeah, you go down there, you got to do what you got to do, get your lawyer, go down there, make a statement, and then that's it. But he went down there and he ran his mouth. And the version of the story that they had already gotten from the people at the bar and the victim, which was in the hospital, right, clinging to life, but he was conscious enough to make a statement, right, before, and usually it's the first statement is made that they really start to navigate and push the investigation by. They're looking at Cecil as the aggressor because after the initial hit, the guy runs outside and Cecil chases him down and beats him. So they're looking at Cecil as the aggressor. So now they're talking to him. They got him down at the police department. They got him in that box. They're asking him all kinds of questions about this, that, and the third, and he's telling them what happened, how the guy was harassing his friend, and she didn't want anything to do with it. He stepped in, the dude hit him, knocked him down. He grabs the glass, hits him, and then he knocks him down, and then he chases him because he was afraid. He's telling them the honest-to-God truth about what happened, and he thinks because he's telling the truth that everything is going to work out just fine. Well, at the conclusion of the interview, the officers get up and as if, you know what I'm saying, everything is fine, and they tell him he could get up, but they tell him to get up and turn around and he's being arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. And he says, what do you mean? I was defending myself. Now, they don't want to rap no more. They say, put your hands behind your back. And he puts his hands behind the back. He's complying, but he's continuing to talk and try to explain himself. And they don't want to hear that. They put the handcuffs on him. They take him out. They book him. Fingerprint him, take his picture, all this and that. And he looks a hot mess because he's panicking. He's afraid. He don't understand what's going on. So one of the female officers that are booking him in, she tells him, she said, look, you're going to be able to call somebody to see if they can come down here to make your bond. Everything is going to be all right. You know, I heard about your situation. She's trying to keep him calm, right? So he says, okay, when can I make the call? And she said, as soon as I finish getting your fingerprints and all that kind of stuff processed, we're going to let you make your call before we take you upstairs. He said, what's upstairs? She told him, that's the jail. You can't stay down here in the holding tank. So he starts to imagine all of these things that he's heard about jail and all this, and it scares him, right? So he gets on the phone and he calls his parents that live in another state. And he tells them what happens, and he tells them that he needs to make bond. He needs to get out. But his bond is $30,000 now. That's when he said, the magistrate said it, but he don't know how to go about that. And they don't either. They've never had any dealings with that. So they tell him that they're going to call a lawyer in the morning. They're going to work it out. Just make it through the night. And he toughs it up. And they take him upstairs. And he's panicking. And he gets upstairs and they take him in there. You know, when you get booked at the jail, people are coming in and out all night. They're all day and all night. So it really doesn't matter when you commit the crime. When they finish booking you, they take you upstairs. And he's afraid. When he walks in, it's dark. Everybody's in the bed asleep. But you hear people talking. And it looks gruesome, right? And it's starting to mess with him. Because they call out the cell that he's going to be in. And they walk him over to the cell and you can hear the doors open. Then they tell him to step in. He steps in, then it closes back up. And he's looking. He don't know what to think, right? But if you want to know how this unravels, you're going to have to tune in to the next episode, right? It's been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.